when you look at it that way, you're taking an offensive approach rather than a defensive approach. And if you take an offensive approach, it's a much easier uh, when it comes to retention and everything else. Welcome back to another playbook. All right. So last week, let me bring up my notes. We talked about a marketing first approach in your agency. And we talked a lot about hiring, which is awesome. But I kind of was thinking about it, and I want to encourage you to look at yourself more of a marketer than a salesperson. More of a like the whole idea of marketing. Again, I don't know if you heard the last one that I did, but it was the definition of marketing is the action or business of promoting and selling your services, including market research and advertising. So it's a lot more broad than just selling, and I think that's incredibly important because the two most important functions of your agency is your hiring, and I would even say hiring, onboarding, and all that. It all kind of goes together, and then um, also your sales team, like selling. You have to grow. So, uh, let's talk a little bit more about the sales. And I know we talked last week about features, benefits, and stories. And I kind of went over it a little bit last week, but I love how someone defined it, where is features are about are about you. They're not about the person that you're selling to. You know, benefits are about them. They're about the person you're selling to. And the bottom line is people don't care about features and bells and whistles and stuff like that. They just don't. What's in it for them? Like why does that matter? And a lot of times we do this whole techno babble thing where we're just babbling off all these numbers with insurance policies and people tune out. Like it's incredible. Like I even tune out. Like it's horrible. But like what's not horrible are is attaching their stories, like what they're about and how that can benefit them and their family. So it's a really good idea to just kind of evaluate your sales team. Are they just listing off features? Like that's the first level of sales. Like that's never going to work. It's never going to be sustainable. You're never going to have a rock star sales team with that. The next level up is the benefits. At least they're talking more so about your clients and what's in it for them. So I love that definition. Features, what's in it for you? Benefits, what's in it for them? And that's where it becomes important. And then the next level up is the stories. The stories, either it can be a story, you can talk about stories that's happened in the agency. You can talk about stories that's happened to team members and stuff like that. But really also think about creating the story of them. You've learned so much about them on the call, hopefully. Uh, Taking that and writing a story so that they can understand what you're trying to sell them, so that they can understand how it can make a difference and how you can attach those people in their life and connect connect where they are to what it would be like to have the coverages in certain situations and stuff like that. But it's a good evaluation. So that I would say that's the third level of selling, right? Your salespeople will always start off with the features. As they get better, they understand the benefits. They're learning your script. Hopefully, you have one. And then the next level is what's in it. And then the next level is they become really good storytellers. Um, and that's a fun one to practice too with the team. Like what are the stories? What are the stories that defines this section or this or that? What are the ways to engage them? I mean, think about how incredible it is that you can sit through like a documentary or even a movie that's like 2.5 hours long. Like if you just put down the content in like the features points of the story, you would lose interest in 2 seconds, but you can stay focused on a movie or a documentary because it's in story form. It captures their attention. And a lot of times, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to go over in a policy. So you better be a good storyteller. You want to be engaging. And you also, again, marketing first approach, you're also kind of setting the stage for what it would be like to work with you in the future. Because if it sucks and it's painful, dude, even if you have a good price, they're not gonna wanna stay with you. They're gonna be like, "I gotta talk to this clown again." They're not gonna wanna do it. So, again, when you're if you can be engaging and become a really good storyteller, then it's something that if that like, the person would probably wanna be with your agency a lot better because when they talk to you, it's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more fun than it is with the other agencies. Um, so I think that's incredibly huge to think about too, because when we are quoting every bit of it, every contact is setting the stage for a future of what it would be like uh, to be a part of your agency. So kind of looking at it like that. And again, it's onboarding, it's the whole experience. It's how they come into your agency. It's all that stuff. And when you look at it that way, you're taking an offensive approach rather than a defensive approach. And if you take an offensive approach, it's a much easier uh, when it comes to retention and everything else, right? Because everybody else is going to make it a little bit more difficult than you. And again, it's the same thing with hiring. I mean, it's the same. You got to really look at the feelings and all that stuff of what it's like to be a part of your team. And I think if we started looking at it a lot more that way, it would be a lot more beneficial to the agency. Uh, because really at the end of the day, that is one of our competitive advantages, right? The big carriers, the direct writers, they don't really have the ability to do that. They don't really care at all. So like the thing that can uh, make you different is by doing those things. And you might be thinking, I do those things. I really do care. But like look into it, like follow the customer journey with um your individual salespeople, really follow it and even ask once somebody's been onboarded, either a salesperson or like a person that came into your team. So either when you're hiring or any client that just recently became client, start asking them, "Hey, what was your experiences like? Like, where could we have done better? Where were some of the pain points?" And the clearer you can get on that, and the better that you can handle those situations, the more you will have a competitive advantage going forward with your agency. And that's really how to fine tune those things that set you apart differently than other agencies. And I don't know about what the carrier that you're with, but the carrier that we're with it has shaken it up a little bit for the agents. And there's been some drop off on some agents that might not have the best sales process or might be in a different position. Not judging, definitely saying like everybody has different seasons of life. So, but why like going forward, a tough uh, it can be a tough landscape to navigate. But if you really go into taking a marketing first approach and deep diving on these areas of your agency, you're going to have no problems. Actually, because it is a difficult landscape, it's weeding out some, and then it'll have you rise to the top. So completely puts you on a different level. So hope that was encouraging. And yeah, that is a playbook. I will see you here